Good work.
Listening to Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation. Tommy Boyd.
We learn on the news this morning that Canada has joined the UK and USA axis in offering to send troops and arms to the Gulf should action be deemed necessary by Bill Clinton and, of course, our Prime Minister Tony Blair as well. Britain and the United States of America stands largely alone globally in its determination to, if necessary, resort to military action to secure Saddam Hussein's compliance with the UN demands with regards to the examination of Iraq's store of arms. And that could be a bigger problem than at the moment we are able to identify, simply because if global opinion should prove to be ranged against the United Kingdom and the United States, and we should decide to proceed with our action, the consequences for global realignment, once the Gulf crisis is done and dusted, could be dire. And we could find ourselves in the company of one other nation, albeit at the moment the only superpower on earth. But we have to ask ourselves whether the world is becoming a lonely place for Great Britain PLC. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Something like 1/7 of the world speaks Spanish. And at the moment, the Spanish-speaking countries are not prepared to join us in a concerted action against Saddam Hussein. And it is clear, isn't it, that this could be in part, or maybe even entirely, because people have not, who speak Spanish, forgiven or forgotten the Falklands War, the Falklands crisis, the Malvinas crisis, whatever you want to call it. We know, don't we, that a rift developed between the United Kingdom and the Spanish-speaking peoples, the Latin people, the planet over, when that crisis erupted, and that rift has not yet healed. If we can heal that rift, then we may not be facing Saddam Hussein virtually alone. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We will not, it seems to me, our public will not tolerate the idea of returning the Falkland Islands to Argentina. They will not in our lifetime be called the Malvinas. And this is the sticking point that prevents our Spanish-speaking friends, the planet over, from joining forces with us. Not only militarily, but economically as well, and culturally. A plan needs to be formed which will give them the opportunity to believe that relations are once again sweet between the United Kingdom and all the countries of South America, a very influential bloc whose influence is growing all the time. You may or may not have read that it's suspected that the major economic player on planet Earth in 50 years' time will be Brazil. That's the importance of friendship with the South American countries. How can we heal that rift? If we are going to keep the Falklands, a UN proposal number K107, which was put to Peter Carrington at the time of the Falklands crisis, could well be dusted off and put into operation. And it is simply that a small British property be handed over to Argentina in return for our keeping the Falklands. The number is free call 0500 10 53 89. Between now and 4 o'clock, we have to discuss this important proposition, which is that we hand over the Isle of Wight to Argentina. That number again, free call 0500 10 53 89. I mean, life on the Isle of Wight wouldn't not be terribly different under Argentina if it was ruled from Buenos Aires than it is now. Presumably, the Argentine authorities would permit a great deal of autonomy to the parish councils and county councils that already exist on the Isle of Wight. And for the people who live there and wish to remain there, although of course it would be for the people of mainland Britain to decide whether they wanted immigrants from the Isle of Wight to flee and bring with them the same kind of economic problems that the former West Germany faces now that it's looking after all those East Germans. Surely those Isle of Wighters would be happy to stay on the Isle of Wight if it was run from Buenos Aires, if it was part of Argentina, because A, the economy would boom, the Isle of Wight would become a gateway to the Americas, not just for UK trade, but for the whole of Europe. Argentine beef would be introduced to the Isle of Wight, BSE free, of course, and thus businesses on the Isle of Wight could be used to rescue struggling British farmers. Culturally, I don't think things would change very much, and it's something that I would jump at, because polo is a fantastic sport. Evita is a brilliant play. Ozzy Ardiles is a superb footballer, and at the moment he's doing nothing in his home in Swindon. Free call 0500 10 53 89. There is already a strong Argentinian influence on the Isle of Wight. I only have to mention The English Patient, which was produced and directed by Anthony Minghella, to sign, seal and deliver that argument. Free call 0500 10 53 89. But questions remain. Would we repatriate Isle of Wighters who wanted to flee the Argentine government on the mainland? Would we want them? Would they want to go? Or would they be happier to stay? And either work shoulder to shoulder with their new rulers, or would they want to start a resistance movement? A lot of people quite like the idea of struggling against a tyrannical ruler. Free call 0500 10 53 89. The Isle of Wight or las Islas de Blancos? Newport or Nuevo Porto? Cows or burros? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
And Derby on 1071 AM. The conversation of the nation. 1053, 1089 AM. This is Talk Radio.
The UN resolution K107, quid pro quo, is under debate, and John calls from Watford. You're on Talk Radio, John. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. It is a certainty that if I tune into you, I will hear rubbish. And again today, I thought, well, let's hear what he's on about today. And what do I hear? Give the Isle of Wight to the Argentine. Now, where do you get these mad ideas from?
It was UN proposal K107 at the time of the Falklands crisis. Peter Carrington.
Don't talk such damned rubbish.
I'm sorry?
Anything can be made to suit your purpose. It's like the day you sat there and talked about Churchill never smoked cigars. There were no atom bombs over Japan.
Yes.
Where do you get all these mad ideas? Who's stupid enough to pay you for all the rubbish you sit there and spout?
Well, we can talk about Churchill another day if you like, but at the moment we are
You've already talked about him.
And you try not to...
Two of you on Talk Radio. You and James Whale.
Can you try not to interrupt me?
You should be tied together and dropped over the Argentine, and that would get rid of the two of you, and we'd hear no more nonsense.
And you should be caned severely by a brutal teacher, which I expect you were. Poor man. Free call 0500 10 53 89. The proposal before you is perfectly straightforward and simple, and it is that in order to win friends and influence people abroad, Great Britain makes an effort to heal the rift between herself and the Spanish-speaking countries. And since it seems as though the Falklands will always be a sticking point, and Britain, provided we remain a democracy and listen to the clarion call of what the people believe, is very unlikely to ever hand the Falklands back to Argentina, at least in our lifetime, then the possibility is that we could trade off the Falklands to Argentina with the Isle of Wight, or, as was discussed under K107 at the time of the Falklands crisis, one of our other dependencies or properties, possibly in northern Scotland. But it seems to me that that is an unattractive proposal, and that the Isle of Wight is something that Argentina might jump at. Rosemary calls from Berkshire. You're on Talk Radio, Rosemary. Good afternoon.
Tommy, what on earth are you talking about? I was born and bred, my family go back yonks on the Isle of Wight. I'd hate to see that dear little island made... Ooh, you know, it's such a lovely little island. It's beautiful, it's peaceful. It's a real island. It's lovely. Unless you've lived there, I was lived there, I brought up there. I enjoyed the peace and tranquility. You can't even think about
But the crucial issue here, Rosemary, is that at the moment Britain stands virtually alone against Saddam Hussein. And
yes, but surely there's some other island they can do it. Not the Isle of Wight.
the Isle of Man.
Well, yes.
You'd allow the Isle of Man to be ceded to Argentina?
Yes, well, they've got more money and they can cope with it a lot more up there.
You think so?
Oh, yes, definitely.
But what if
the Isle of Man?
What if they didn't want the Isle of Man?
Well, the Isle of Man have got everything there. They've got their own money and everything, haven't they? So, I mean, let them have it.
But are you sure you're not putting
the Isle of Wight.
Are you sure you're not putting your childhood memories before our need to face
the
down
Isle of Wight
Iraq?
have you ever been down there lately?
Yes, I have, yeah.
It's beautiful. I was down there, let me see,
But what about the Argentine?
4 weeks ago. And it's lovely. We have lovely weather down there.
But that wouldn't change. That wouldn't change. Buenos Aires wouldn't change the weather or the look of the place, would they?
Yes, but it's England. It's home.
I know, but they say the Malvinas are Argentinian.
Yes, but they can do what they like, but don't hand over the Isle of Wight.
Well, it has to be discussed.
It will have to be. And I'll be first there to go against it. It's the most beautiful place. I don't want foreigners stamping over the place where my father and his father.
But there wouldn't be that many of them.
I don't want it to end up. No, keep the island as it is.
You say keep the Isle of Wight British. Thank you for your call. Vic calls from Surrey. You're on Talk Radio. Vic, good afternoon.
Tom, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think we really want to encourage people to support this latest clamouring for a war.
No.
I think it's since the Falklands War that this I think it's about 25 years when there was a general intolerance of war and people would have thought it was absolutely absurd to have a war, that the sort of Rubicon has been passed, if that's the right expression, and it seems that, let's say 25 years, and another 9 years there was the Gulf War. Now, 7 years after that, it seems to be ever-reducing periods at which there seems to be general clamouring for war. I think it really is worrying. I know you're treating this as a bit of a serious subject. I suspect you might have a bit of an agenda behind it.
Well, it is a very serious subject, and so would it be if anybody were to pass the Rubicon, because that is an enormous, fast-flowing river. And
I'm not quite sure what that expression means, but I think it means that that we're more inured to the idea of a war, and I think the public
when you cross the Rubicon, you commit yourself to a deliberate and potentially cataclysmic
psychologically, the public are more psychologically ready for it. I think perhaps that wasn't quite the right expression, but I think you know what I mean.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't really know what you mean, to be honest, no.
Well, I think that it would have been very difficult to whip the public up in the late 60s under Harold Wilson or early 70s under Edward Heath to have a war. It now seems, since the Falklands, it seems more easy to do that. I think that people... Well, can you imagine that, say under Harold Wilson or Edward Heath, that you would have had people even contemplating bombing a foreign country?
Well, I don't know. The people who were there at Bloody Sunday would have their thoughts, and Edward Heath was at 10 Downing Street when that happened.
But, I mean, purposely in this way.
They would have their comments on the pacifism of those times. But I'm grateful for your call, Vic, and your history lesson. Mark calls from Somerset. You're on Talk Radio. Mark, good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, Tom. Sorry, I was having a laugh with your girl on the phone there. I think it's a brilliant idea to give the Isle of Wight to the Argentines, because I've been to the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But what we have to do, first, Tom, you know what we're like in this country? We do sort of shoot ourselves in the foot. So before we hand it over, okay, very important, exhaustive geological and mineral surveys.
Yes.
Important, I think you'd agree.
Get all the oil.
Well, yeah, if there is any.
If there is any oil. Because there's supposed to be oil.
What, under the Isle of Wight?
Yes, there is, yes. And lots
then maybe we should consider maybe somewhere else in exchange.
Well, there's only a bit of oil and lots of coloured sand.
Yes. Yes, and if you go to Black Gang China or whatever it's called, it's falling into the sea. It's falling to pieces.
Yes.
So, I think it's a pretty... In fact, if we gave them, the Isle of Wight, we leased it to them for, say, a couple of 100 years.
99 years.
We could sue them when it disappears.
Yes.
Because it's our property.
That's right.
What do you think
They'd have to pay to maintain it.
They would. Full maintenance lease, mate. Full maintenance lease. I get an erosion clause.
But if
very
it is going to be the quid pro quo, which brings the Spanish-speaking nations on Earth back into the fold, if you like, and back on our side, it returns them once again to being our allies, and that would mean that we would have to carry on our occupancy of the Falklands under a leasehold agreement.
Yes, but, I mean, the Falklands is made out of rock.
Yes.
So it's not going to erode, is it?
It's a very good point. You've thought it through.
This is the thing, you see. Exhaustive geological surveys, very important. Ascertain the expected lifespan of the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
And then work it into a lease.
The lifespan of the Isle of Wight.
Well, a couple of 100 years it will be gone. I've been to the Isle of Wight. When I went to the Isle of Wight, a big lump fell off it.
I've been to the Isle of Wight, and I think, quite frankly, that being run from Buenos Aires would do the whole thing an awful lot of good.
Well, it would.
It would make that ferry trip a lot more exotic, wouldn't it?
It would, and I went there in Cows Week.
Sorry, yes.
And, some of the women are a bit jaded, shall we say, and we can have some of those nice Buenos Aires women over.
Yes.
Very, very attractive. You are a connoisseur of a good-looking woman, as am I.
You can't beat the Latins.
You can't.
No.
You can't.
No, who's that one in West Side Story? What was her name?
Oh, yes, I know the one you mean. She got a funny name.
And the girlfriend in High Noon.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. Latin women are, well, they're something else, Tommy, aren't they?
And I'll tell you what, I can't dance, but I know I'd look better if I were dancing that.
You don't have to dance in Latin, you just have to hold.
That's it.
Hold on tight with the hip. Thrusting.
That's it.
You're away.
And you look good. Whatever you do with polo.
Yes.
Don't those men look great?
They do.
I could almost fancy some of them, but not.
And you can wear the t-shirts as well. Great.
Mark, thank you for your call.
That's all right, Tom. I just want to also say that the gentleman that was on before.
Yes.
Okay, angry from wherever.
Yes.
He's really got to expand.
Yes.
His outlook. But I have got a better idea. If we decide, Tommy, and this is very, very pithy, if we decide that the Isle of Wight is far too, well, shall we say, a good a deal, then I think maybe we should either think about the Channel Islands or maybe Stornoway.
Sark. Thank you for your call. Thank you very much indeed for your support on this one, Mark. Free call 0500 1053 89. How to win friends and influence the Spanish-speaking peoples on Earth. If we must keep the Falkland Islands, let's give them the Isle of Wight. I'm Tom.
1053, 1089 AM. This is Talk Radio.
Peter calls from Kent. You're on Talk Radio. Peter, good afternoon.
Why should we give the Argentinians anything?
Why should we give the Argentinians anything?
Yeah, why should we give them an island?
Because we need their support in the growing crisis with Iraq.
Do you think so?
Well, it's clear. We haven't got enough allies, Peter.
Well, there's America with us.
Say it again?
Well, we're with America.
Yes?
Against Saddam Hussein.
That's correct.
So why should we bow to public demand? I don't think it is public demand. I mean, why should we give the Argentinians an island? A British Isle. I mean, the Falkland Islands are ours.
Your strong point isn't diplomacy, international diplomacy, is it, Peter?
No, not necessarily, no.
No. At the moment, all we've got is Canada and Malta who are backing us.
Yeah.
The rest of the world isn't.
I can see that, but why should we give them an island? I mean, they'll put troops. We'll give them the Isle of Wight. They'll put troops on the Isle of Wight, won't they?
Not necessarily. They might just put dancers and bands.
You think so?
Footballers.
But you said earlier on they wouldn't change the island at all.
Not very much.
You don't think it'll change at all?
I don't know. They might make them put on Evita as a school play rather than...
So what if they wanted... let's say we go to the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
Or the Isle of Man, which is another suggestion.
Yes.
What if they wanted to put troops on it, like we've got in the Falklands?
Well, we couldn't stop them because it will belong to them.
And then what would it do to the Isle of Wight? I mean, as you say, all the people that live on the Isle of Wight now...
Yes.
They're not going to want to stay there, are they?
They may not.
There's 3,000, Argentinian troops.
Yes.
Turned up on the Isle of Wight. They're going to want to stay there, are they?
They may not. Again, we'd have to see how the thing would unfold. But at this stage, we're just discussing the principle of the idea because we need allies. We simply cannot take on the whole of the Arab world alone.
But we're not taking on the whole of the Arab world. We're taking on Iraq.
Well, it doesn't quite work like that. If you read between the lines of what diplomatic statements have been issued by the Arab world, you will find that everybody is opposed to military action.
But they're not going to be standing against us, are they? They might be opposed to military action.
Yes.
But they're not actually going to stand up against us, are they?
But the consequences of military action, if the rest of the world opposes it, once the dust has settled on the Gulf crisis one way or another, it is unthinkable. We would stand alone. And the economic implications of that, not to mention the military implications and the cultural implications of that, are unthinkable.
I can see it could look bad.
Yes.
In the long run, it could look bad.
We need allies. How are we going to get the Spanish-speaking people of this earth back on our side whilst we've still got the Falklands? You tell me.
I can't really... I'm not a politician. I can't answer that.
Right. Well, in that case, you've got to go along with my idea. Well, sorry, the United Nations proposal.
That is a possibility. I would say it would take a lot of looking into.
So you're warming.
I'm against it.
But you're warming to the idea.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly, yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thanks so much.
Not at all, Peter. I'm very grateful to have an opportunity to explore the idea with you, or at least that crucial aspect of it. What would life be like under Argentina on the Isle of Wight? Well, I haven't been to Argentina, but I've been to Peru, and I've been to Mexico, and I've been to Brazil, and I can tell you that life there is as idyllic as it is on the Isle of Wight, or you do see quite a lot of troop carriers in Lima.
And we could have good football matches with the locals as well. I bet it'd be really good.
I think, obviously, the Isle of Wight, as it does at the moment, would put teams into the Hampshire League, and I think it would improve the standards there, just as the Scottish and the English football leagues have been improved by the arrival of all these Italians. So it's a thought, isn't it? Free call 0500 1053 89. Mohab calls from Birmingham.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're on Talk Radio, Mohab.
I've got very strong objection against its name. Isle of Wight, because it's very discriminatory against those people. You never get the Isle of Black or Isle of Grey or Isle of Red or... I think it should be changed. I think it's very discriminatory.
You would have it...
I think something should be done about it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Presumably, can I just ask... Presumably he also objects to the Isle of Man being called the Isle of Man. If he's a modern person, perhaps it should be called the Isle of Persons. And the Isle of... I don't know. Of course, his point is mistaken, because the Isle of Wight is not spelt W-H-I-T-E. It is spelt W-I-G-H-T, a word derived from the Saxon weight or gravity. So, in fact, in Argentina, if the Isle of Wight were to be taken over by Argentina, it would not be renamed the Las Islas de Blancos. It would be renamed Las Islas de Peso, which is about the closest Castilian term for weight that I can think of. Free call 0500 1053 89. Good point. Thank you for that. Steve calls from Cardiff. You're on Talk Radio, Steve. Good afternoon.
Hola, eso es su amigos de España.
Sí.
¿Tú entiendes todo que hablo?
Sí, es muy importante. Yo tengo un pequeño español, poco. Mi vocabulario es muy pequeño. Pero, ¿qué pregunta usted?
Vale. Escúchame, ¿vale?
Sí.
The Isle of Wight.
Sí. Los Islas de Blancos o Peso.
Los Islas de Blancos, sí. O si tú quieres, dice, pues, como tú quieres, ¿no?
Es muy importante el nombre de los Isle of Wight. Cuando es un cosa de Buenos Aires. ¿Blancos o Peso por usted?
Pero escúchame, Argentina, ¿sí?
Sí.
Belongs to America. Southern America. So,
oh, sorry, you're talking English now?
Yeah, I just wanted to greet you in Spanish.
Yes, you did a passable job.
Okay?
Yes. What's your point?
Well, Argentina belongs to Southern America. And if Saddam's chemical warfare bomb they created is that devastating, then obviously, we all have to stand together. And yeah, if there's going to be troops on the Isle of Wight, then...
You were much more eloquent in Spanish. Thanks for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. Tim calls from Hertfordshire. You're on Talk Radio. Tim, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Tim.
Hello. Isle of Wight, brilliant idea. Let's go one step further.
Okay.
Let's get the British Isles and give it to the Spanish culture. Imagine Moss Side.
Fantastic.
As it is now.
Fantastic.
Just imagine it in its full glory. You can imagine these. Oh, no, I can't. I mean, it's a dream. Imagine Moss Side, imagine Glasgow, imagine anywhere in this country, especially Hatfield.
Yes.
But imagine all these concrete blocks covered in beautiful primary colours, beautiful Latin women dancing around. I'm in dreamland, I really am. I mean, that's just incredible.
You'd go along with it.
I would indeed. Well done, Tommy.
Thank you, Tim. Free call 0500 1053 89. Ian's on the line from Bath. You're on Talk Radio. Ian?
Hello.
Hand the Isle of Wight over to Argentina.
Yeah, well, maybe all these people who were put out by that fort now know how the Argentinians feel. You know, I mean, if it was the other way round and Argentina was on the Isle of Wight, then perhaps we would feel the same as they do.
I'd never thought about that, but you know, that's an important point, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Putting ourselves in the shoes of Argentina. Yes. So all these people who are very angry about the idea of handing over the Isle of Wight to Argentina, who are probably also dead keen on us keeping the Falklands.
Yes.
There's a bit of a logic gap there, isn't there?
There is indeed.
Yes. Thank you for your pointing that out.
You know, as soon as you said it, it made sense to me.
I hadn't thought about that, but you know, you're right.
Yeah.
Ian, thank you.
Okay.
Free call 0500 1053 89. There is a historical precedent, as I'm sure you know, for handing the Isle of Wight over to a hostile army. It happened around about the year 44 AD, when the Romans were sweeping through ancient Britain, and got as far, got to Colchester, to Londinium, and also to Chichester, but became friendly with the Brits, and a deal was done between the representative of the Roman Empire in Chichester and the King of the Ancient Britons in the south of England, whereby the Romans would accept that the English king kept his dynasty in exchange for a peaceful handing over to the Romans of the Isle of Wight, which is what took place. And it worked then, and it could be what we need now. It's not nice standing alone against the rest of the world. We've never done it before. We pretty much are doing it right now. We need all the friends we can get. The Spanish-speaking peoples on planet Earth, quite frankly, are not going to join forces with us as long as we stick to our guns, if I can put it like that, with the Falkland Islands. So if we're going to hang on to the Falkland Islands, the only way to get them onto our side is to dust off Proposal K107, which the United Nations considered back in 1982, to hand the Isle of Wight over to Argentina. Donnie calls from Aberdeen. You're on Talk Radio. Donnie, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, Donnie.
I was just rather amused. I can't speak to you in Spanish, but I was just thinking of this idea of handing countries back to their original people. Maybe we should hand the Falklands back to Argentina, but maybe the Spanish should exit from Argentina and go back to Spain, because it wasn't originally their country either.
It's a thought. I remember hearing that one around about the time of the Falkland crisis. Donnie, thank you for your call. Gillian calls from London. Gillian, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello. Changing the subject entirely, I'm afraid. As a faithful follower of your Goliath tip, I was dismayed to find that Stephen Hendry lost. So that's invalidated number 8 on the Goliath. Can you please, as a non-sporty person, give me another tip?
Hang on. This has come out of the blue a little bit. I didn't tip Stephen Hendry to win the UK Championship. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
I went down there faithfully. I took down everything you said.
I tipped Stephen Hendry to win the World Championship. This was the UK Championship.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, well, maybe it wasn't maybe it was just kind of
the World Championship
implied, because I went down to the bookies.
Yes.
And this is what they put down. I mean, they kind of wrote it
Oh, you went to the bookies and asked them to write out a bet for you. That's
no,
true.
I took down the names. I mean, I was listening very carefully.
What have you got? What have you got on your bet?
I've actually got, which is obviously what was just played, the Grand National, the Benson Hedges Trophy.
You got Stephen Hendry to win that.
For that, yeah.
Well, we didn't recommend
You didn't
that,
recommend
actually.
that?
No.
Right. Do you still stand by him?
No, I recommend Ronnie O'Sullivan to win the World Championship.
Do you?
I do, actually.
All right.
I think so.
He's a bit of a Jimmy White, though, isn't he?
Well, Stephen Hendry's not even a Jimmy White at the moment. He missed a black on Sunday night that you know, any of us would have sunk left-handed. Anyway, sorry, Gillian, carry on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say. So
what have you got down for the World Cup?
For the World Cup?
For the World Cup.
Brazil.
FA Cup?
Manchester United.
First Division?
First Division, Division 1 Sunderland.
Good. Derby?
The Derby, I actually went with the 2,000 guineas in the end. I got Tsar.
That's good enough.
And the Heineken Vines Classic.
Yes.
That was Czechia. Sejka. And the USA, the Golf USA money list was Tiger Woods, I think. And the Drivers' Championship was Schumacher.
Okay, this stuff is all pretty nailed on. I hope you didn't do the Grand National bet that I recommended.
I certainly didn't, because I found out it wasn't running.
Good on ya!
Okay.
You're good. What have you got for the National?
For the National, I'm not going to do anything at the moment because I've fulfilled my Goliath 8.
Fair dues. I'm grateful you topped us up on that. I'd forgotten all about it. It's at the back of my wallet, along with Goosen to win the Heineken Golf, which I did not do. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you very much.
See you in Barbados.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Free call 0500 1053 89. Let's talk to Steve, who calls from Leicester. You're on Talk Radio, Steve. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Steve.
Hi, yeah. Going about what island we ought to give to the Argentinians.
Yes.
Northern Ireland. For 3 reasons.
Okay.
All right. The first one being, it'll be getting rid of a big problem for us that we can't sort out. 2, when the Irish actually come back to us afterwards, because the Argentinians will give it back after about a year, they will, they'll be a lot happier thinking that, a dictatorship was really bad, so the British rule wasn't too bad, and be a lot happier when they come back.
Mm-hmm.
Only one problem, they'll probably want to go to war with us after it, because of the, dumping something like that on them.
Yes.
But I think the rest of the islands are too nice to give away.
Yes, I can see a glimmer of mischief in your suggestions, Steve. And of course, we must remember that Northern Ireland doesn't bear many geographical similarities to the Falkland Islands.
No, but there is a border, and it's not a complete island in itself. But
no. It's a thought. Thank you for your thought. Free call 0500 1053 89. Steve calls from, he's on his travels actually. Whereabouts are you at the moment, Steve?
I'm in Bristol.
Bristol. And your point. Welcome to Talk Radio.
Well, hello, Tommy. My thing is Parkhurst.
Ah.
What do you do with all the prisoners? Do they just come straight back to the mainland, or do they get, do we have to try and extradite them?
Yes, of course, that's an important point, isn't it? But nowadays, now that the prison service is transferring to the private sector, one of the attractions that Buenos Aires may identify, if we were to offer them the Isle of Wight in exchange for keeping the Falklands, is that they could continue to run Parkhurst as a British jail, but charge us.
Like a levy.
Exactly.
And the other thing is do we put a lot of mines on the Isle of Wight, so the Argentinians don't have the whole of the Isle of Wight?
Mines?
Mines.
Mines?
So I think mines, as in M-I-N-E-S.
Yes. No, I don't. I think that's really, but that doesn't happen anymore, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Probably not the right thing to say, but.
Well, no. I mean, why? They're still being used, and that's still a disgrace.
Yes.
So no, I'm sure that wouldn't happen.
Good.
Mind you, I reckon we left a lot of mines on the Falklands, haven't we? No, they did.
They
did.
They over a third of the island, I believe.
They did, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes, they did. Actually, that is a point, isn't it?
And a lot of
if anything, as an argument, pardon?
A lot of the ones that they use are the undetectable ones.
Well, if we were to isolate the Falklands problem, and just talk about that in isolation, although, of course, as I've made clear, we are actually talking about a much broader landscape at the moment, which is our lack of international support for what we're up to in the Gulf. If we were to isolate the Falklands problem, it seems to me that what you've just reminded us about is yet another argument for letting them have it back.
Yes, so they can get rid of their problem themselves.
They can deal with it themselves, yes. Thanks for your thoughts, Steve.
Thank you, Tommy.
Cheerio. This is Plain English Frank calling now from Essex. You're on Talk Radio.
Yes,
Frank.
It's Frank and not Franco, as your colleague asked me.
Not Franco.
Tell me, back to the beginning of your program. You said Los Islas blancos.
De blancos.
Oh, de blancos, excuse me, but you have such a finding in Spanish. Shouldn't it be actually La Isla Blanca? Oh, back to your wordplay.
Las Islas de Blancos.
But then you go back to your findings on where did the word white come from, you said before?
The word?
White, W-I-G-H-T.
Yes, W-I-G-H-T, yes.
Then perhaps you said peso, yeah? Shouldn't that be La Isla Pesado?
No, peso.
And then you come back to cows, which should be changed to burros.
No, I didn't say that. No,
yes, you did.
No, I said
Go
vacos.
back to your program.
No, I said...
And you'll understand that from your tape.
No, you're...
Burros means donkey.
If only you could listen as well as you talk.
Cows, again, back to your wordplay, would come across as vacas.
Vacos.
No, vacas.
No, vacos.
Vacos would mean something else, I think. And
No,
I think
it wouldn't.
It's a rather square word.
No, you think of vaqueros, for example, which is Spanish for cowboys.
Yes, that's back to the masculine term.
Yes.
But vaca is
¿Habla usted
cow.
español?
Habla.
No, you don't say that. You say hablo.
No, habla.
No, you're hablo.
No, I asked you to speak.
No,
you don't understand the language at all. You claim to do. The last caller who called you had limited understanding and he tried to test it out on you. You went through a series of bad grammar with him and he seemed to buy it.
Well, you can't go through a series of bad grammar.
You simply don't understand what you're talking about.
You can't go through a series of bad grammar.
Issues, another caller asked you
bad
about
grammar is singular. It is not. It's not. I've listened to you for more than a moment. I've listened to you for 1 minute. Don't you tell me to shut up. This is my radio show. I don't have to shut up.
I don't really care if it's your radio show.
Yes, you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't ring it.
Where the voice of the listener is important.
No, it isn't. Not compared to me.
Yes, of course. What you're saying is entirely wrong.
Which bit's
wrong? You
wrong?
go to Iraq and you say the only two countries that support the UK and Britain, America, forgive me, are Canada and Malta.
That's right, yes.
That's not right.
It is.
Australia have already committed people to the cause. Bahrain have also committed themselves. Kuwait have also committed themselves. Portugal have already committed themselves fully. Israel also committed itself, and that's to name but a few. It's not simply Canada and Malta. Get your facts right. This is a national radio station. You're broadcasting to the nation here, and you're giving them incorrect information.
Well, not all of my facts might be 100%.
Do you know what...
Will you stop interrupting me?
Okay,
I've got a point to
please
make.
then.
Yes, thank you, I will.
If you could speak intelligently, that'd help.
Oh, well, I'm sure I'm not as intelligent as you, Frank. I'm sure I'm sure at least that when somebody's talking, I pay attention. I listen very carefully to what they have to say.
Tommy, I'm going to try and listen now.
Good. You are. Right. So we, the United Kingdom and the United States of America, has managed to persuade. Let me find out what you're inferring here. We've managed to persuade Bahrain.
I'm not inferring. I'm telling you.
Bahrain. Now let's just talk about Bahrain for a moment, shall we? And let's just.
No, you're singling groups out here.
Oh, no, I want to do that, Frank, and you should be able to sustain that. Perhaps you could tell me about the military capability of Bahrain.
Well, we know they're a small Gulf emirate.
Have they got any tanks at all?
Tell me I don't know about their military capability.
And let's talk about Portugal then. Is Portugal a big player in the military world?
They have a certain amount of influence in the fact that among the Portuguese states we have the likes of Brazil, or Portuguese-speaking countries.
Are you saying that...
Mozambique, Macau...
I didn't ask you that, Frank. You're not paying attention.
Verde. Sorry?
I didn't ask you that. You're not paying attention.
Yes, but they have influence, Tommy. Likewise, the Commonwealth has.
I'm sorry. Let's just run through the countries that we've managed to persuade to support us as far as you're concerned in the Gulf.
No, there's name but a few. I mean,
Bahrain. No. First of all,
okay, let's put Turkey in there as well, shall we?
No, you shan't, because Turkey haven't support.
Yes, they have.
No, they're not.
They've allowed the UK and the US use of their bases for.
Frank, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go, Frank. It's I'm sorry. I'm very cross with Philippa for allowing a call like this to go to air.
Supportive measures as well.
Because
sorry, you've lost your argument. That's why you're to cut me off.
No, it's not. It's because we've got to pay the rent. I've never in all my life heard such vacuous cloud cuckoo nonsense on the radio, Frank, as you've dished up this afternoon.
When you lose something.
What age are you?
12, Tommy.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boy. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Ron calls from Hull. You're on Talk Radio, Ron.
Yes.
Hand the Isle of Wight over to Argentina.
Pardon?
Let's hand the Isle of Wight over to Argentina.
No, I didn't want to talk about that at all.
Oh, well, which radio station have you been listening to then?
I've been listening to Talk Radio, which I do most of the day.
I'm glad about that, but that's what we're discussing at the moment.
Well, it doesn't have to be that, does it?
Yes, it does.
There you go. That proves my point.
Which is
why are you so self-opinionated and trying to put people down and belittle them every afternoon?
It's the format, Rob.
If people didn't ring you, you wouldn't have a job.
Yes, I would.
Why would you?
I'd just carry on talking. I would.
I saw you on a television programme a few weeks ago, one morning. It was either Kilroy or the other side.
You're a fan?
And you were the only one who didn't smile or didn't clap. You sat there stony-faced because you couldn't get your own way.
It wasn't
that happens every afternoon.
It wasn't that.
It's got to stop.
Is it? What are you going to do?
Well, I think people are getting fed up of you.
Oh, dear. Doesn't look that way from the numbers.
Well, I think they're just taken in. Well, I'm sure, they end up being belittled every day.
Ron, it's been a delight talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, dear. It is a fact, we stand alone. It is a fact, I don't care what anybody says, we stand alone. You've noticed the cold draft of your own company as a nation, haven't you, over the Gulf crisis? France says don't do it. Russia says don't do it. These are the big players. The little players are just simply averting their eyes. They are turning and facing the wall. However the Gulf crisis resolves itself, we can't go into the 21st century, us versus everybody else. No, we have to start to build bridges. The entire Spanish-speaking population of planet Earth, all the Spanish-speaking countries, and it is the third most spoken language on planet Earth after Mandarin, Chinese, and English, simply will not shake our hand until the Falklands crisis is resolved. And if we won't hand those islands back to Argentina, maybe we can satiate Argentina by giving them the Isle of Wight.
Is Talk Radio, the nation's interactive station. Recall 0500 1053 89 now.
Annie calls from Devon. Good afternoon, Annie. You're on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy. First point. I wanted to...
Yes, I have to start again. I had to miss out your first point. You'll understand why.
Oh, dear.
Not to worry.
I was just wondering if Linguaphone could train up the people of the Isle...
All right. Oh, well, there it is. Yes, don't mention paid commercials, okay?
Oh, sorry. My point was really to go back to your sort of initial starting point, and I just wonder why we're so alone in violence against Iraq. You know, I wonder if perhaps the people of this country... Sorry, I'm having my own personal war here. Get off. I just wonder why everyone else is so reticent about it.
Yes, I can't concentrate. Well, look, shall I come back to you?
That's all right. I'll shut him out. Sorry about this. Out you go. Just a minute.
What are you doing? She's putting a child...
Dear, oh dear.
Putting a child in the garden.
It's not big enough. You'll still hear him.
Right, so you come on the radio, you mention a paid commercial by air, and then expect me not to alert the NSPCC, and your point would be...
I've never done this before.
No,
I'm
it shows.
I'm a total novice.
It shows, mate.
Sure, you'll have to ring Frank back.
You know they say the first time's the best. Well, I'm looking forward to our next one already.
Oh, great.
Anyway, what was your point?
My point was I'm quite concerned about the fact that all the other nations who are quite keen on aggression against Saddam Hussein in the first Gulf War seem to be so against it this time. I just wonder, because we get what we read in the newspapers, and I just wonder if we really hear the whole story. I mean, point. The Russians and the French are not idiots.
No.
But why is it only us and the Americans, and you say the Canadians have just sort of become involved.
Yes, Canada.
I'm so keen for it. To me, I find it very worrying.
Listen, it's at the back of my mind. It's been at the back of my mind for weeks.
Yeah, well, I just, because like you say, you only know what you read and what you're told.
Yes.
And I thought the last Gulf War, even though, yes, I agree it was necessary, I just thought it was so horrendous. The death toll and everything else, I just thought it was horrendous and very depressing.
Now, I've enjoyed talking to you. Next time, if you're coming on about 5 to 4, can you make sure plenty of Calpol down his neck?
Well, I thought Rupert had just come on, and I thought he'd be perfectly happy.
I'm grateful for your call, Annie. Now go and sort it out.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Paul calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Paul, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Paul.
You love it, don't you? You love it, Tom. You love winding people up. What I wanted to say was, linking the Iraq crisis with what you're saying about the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
I believe that, yeah, it's all plausible, but it would be where we would say, well, why don't we give them the Falklands?
Yes.
And why don't we give them the Falklands?
Why not?
Well, recently they've said that there's rich in minerals and oils and everything on the island, and I've got a feeling that behind the scenes that's why secretly we would like to just give it to them, because it's a long way away, and the empire was a long time ago.
Yes.
But because of that, we're holding back, and we need a friend, i.e. America, on our side, just in case a future battle ever came up that, let's say, a geologist said, my God, this is the biggest oil field the world's ever known. I'm sure Argentina would then be interested very much in starting another war. And for future reference, we need America. And I think that's why we've gone gung-ho behind America, because although I agree with the first Gulf War because the country got invaded, I don't agree with this one at the moment.
Right.
Because he hasn't pulled the big trigger, has he? Do you get what I'm saying, Tom?
I do, and I'm grateful for your global overview, Paul. Thank you, and stay alert. Jim calls from Coventry. You're on Talk Radio. Jim, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. You're a bit of an idiot at times. You had a lady on near the beginning, very near the beginning, who said...